Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you guys yet another what I've read recently video. Except this time it's a lightning round edition because, quite frankly, I've read so much in the past month and a half that it's insane. And so I have a lot to talk about. So I recommend we just get on into it, okay? Okay. So the first book I read was an ebook, and this, or I guess I should preface this by saying this is like from the first two, I don't know, like the second week of January through the second to last week of February. Does that make sense? I don't know, but we're going with it. So anyway, the first book I read was an ebook, and it was The Deal. I have seen this talked about everywhere on TikTok, and I got it from my library. It is a college fake dating type of scenario going on, and I gave it a 4.5. No, I gave it a 4 out of 5. There it is. Really, what can I say about this? I don't remember it. Like, I remember it. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite. It was just okay. All right, let's move on. So, as I've mentioned before, I am rereading Percy Jackson, and I will have another video. Probably the video after this one will be my review of and my experience of rereading Percy Jackson as a 20-year-old. So really quickly, this is a little sneak peek. I read in this time frame The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. So if you want to know my complete thoughts, you're gonna have to watch that video. But I gave this one, The Titan's Curse, a 4. I gave Battle of the Labyrinth a 4, but I gave The Last Olympian a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed rereading this, and it will not be the last time I reference them. So there's that. Really fast. I told you guys, lightning round. Next book was another ebook I read, like kind of in between these. These aren't like necessarily in chronological order. I just kind of grouped them. Anywho, so the next ebook I read was Defy the Night, and I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. That might need to be lowered, because like looking back, I don't really remember too much about it. Oh, okay, it's about a plague, right? It's like a sickness, and she's like, it's like some rebellion going on, and there's a big plot twist, which I easily predicted. I just remember I really loved the romance and the main love interest. So I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And the writing was pretty good. It was decent. So, I don't know. There's that. The next book I read, I'm in a Dickens class this semester, and so we started the semester off with A Christmas Carol. This was my first time ever reading A Christmas Carol. I've never seen any of the movies. I've only seen parts of the like weirdly animated one. I think Jim Carrey is the voice actor. I've seen like snippets of that, but I mean, I think everyone knows the story, so I kind of knew the story going into it. This is the second Dickens novel I've ever read. I read A Tale of Two Cities in 2020, and I didn't like it, and I didn't like the writing. But with this one, I actually enjoyed the writing. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, which is pretty high for a classic. It's an interesting story. I think it's a good character study almost, and it's a classic, and now I know what everyone refers to when they talk about A Christmas Carol and Scrooge and his arc. It's very iconic. So, and I enjoyed it, I guess. So going off of that, I'm also in an African American literature class this semester, and our first book that we read was Beloved. These two books, I do have them, but I left them at school because I have to like take midterms and write essays on them and stuff, so they're there. This was my first ever Toni Morrison novel. I mean, I've heard about Beloved, and I've heard about Toni Morrison. I mean, she's a powerhouse. So it was a really interesting reading experience. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. If you're thinking about reading this, I would definitely check content warnings. It's a very heavy subject matter, but her writing is just so beautiful, and I think her approach and the different kind of narrative views she took really added a lot to a narrative like this, and I don't know, it's really valuable. I would definitely, if you're reading it for leisure, I don't know if I know there's Spark Notes, but I would definitely be looking at some supplemental materials because it can be really confusing. So there's that. That was the school portion. The next ebook I read was Portrait of a Scotsman, and I gave this one 4.5 too. I love a good historical romance, okay? And this one was enemies to lovers, arranged, like, forced fake marriage type deal going on. The marriage wasn't fake. Forced marriage. Anyway, and I really enjoyed this one. I really did. I loved it. So it got a 4.5 out of 5 stars. All I can say is it's a historical romance. And it's, I think, late 19th century England. So there's that for you. Okay, next book. All of, like, every physical book I've read that wasn't for school has been a reread the past 2 months. I'm kind of suffering. Anyway, so the next book I reread was If We Were Villains. I've talked about this before. One of my favorite books, kind of. I talked about it for sure. Did the lighting just change? Sorry. I've talked about it before in, I think it was in my 2020 favorites video, like the first video I've ever uploaded. And I think I talked about it in like the Fall Vibes book recommendations. Anyway, dark academia, Shakespeare theater group, there's a murder, lots of romance, lots of drama. And I wanted to reread it with a physical copy because the first time I read it as an ebook. And I definitely think reading it in a physical copy adds something because, like, the parts that are Shakespeare quotes is more clear. So yeah, I reread it. 5 out of 5 stars. Did I need to say that? I don't know. Next ebook I read was A Touch of Darkness. Again, seen it everywhere. Persephone and Hades retelling. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Listen. Listen. How many times I'm going to reference this class, but last semester I was in a Greek retelling, not retelling. What was it called? Stories Retold. So, and the first half of the semester was on Greek retellings and like their original versions, and then we studied like the versions that came afterwards. And we spent like 2 weeks on Hades and Persephone, and we talked a great deal about books that romanticize the relationship when the earliest sources of myth make it pretty clear that she was kidnapped and it was not consensual. And so going into this, I knew I would have that nagging voice in the back of my mind. I can hear my professor saying, "Why are you reading this?" So that was the main reason why I didn't get a 4. Also, the main character I Persephone was really whiny to me and at some instances unbearable. So I will read the sequels eventually. Also, reading this while I was reading Percy Jackson was quite the dichotomy. Let's just say that. Yeah. So there's that. Next book. Another sneak peek. The Lost Hero. This is the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series, which I'm also rereading and which I'm also going to have a separate video about. I'm in the middle of reading this right now, so I have no idea when said video will be available, but it will be in the future. So I'm going to save my thoughts for that. But I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm enjoying it, I guess. You'll have to see. You'll have to stay tuned for that. Okay, another ebook. Guys, I'm not kidding when I told you I read a lot. Like 26 books. I've read a lot. And a lot of ebooks too. Anyway, is this the last ebook? No, it's not. I read The Crown's Game. This was on my want to read list. And it was on sale as an ebook. So I bought it. And it took me so long to read. Basically the premise is the Ninth Circus. So there are 2 magicians and they're competing to be the Tsar's imperial magicians. And all I could say is the Ninth Circus is a way better read. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The writing was just kind of average and I didn't really care about anything. So got a 3.5. Okay, now we're going to take a brief intermission and discuss the manga. If you've been around a while, you'll know that last year I started reading manga. And I read it online. And I just decided this year that I was going to commit and buy the series because I love it so much. And I just wanted to have it physically. So that's what I did with my birthday money. I bought this manga series. And that would be Tsukaisen. Also a bit of background knowledge. Okay, there's an anime, right? I feel like such a nerd. There's an anime. And I originally started reading the manga after the anime stopped. Like where in the manga the anime stopped. Because I've already watched the anime. So I bought the ones I've already read. So like the 7 most recent copies, editions, volumes. And so I started with 9 upwards, not 1, because I haven't read those. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is these were all rereads, and I did reread them because there was a new volume that came out in February, and there's a new one that comes out in April. And so I wanted to reread them so that I could read the new one because I had forgotten a lot. So I read 9, 10, 11, and 12. These are all of the ones I brought back with me. I left the other ones up at school. So let's just talk about it, okay? 9 got a 4.5 because this one is a backstory of a certain someone and I loved it. It was great. So there's that. 10 and 11 get a 4. And last time I talked about these, and I feel like I don't have enough experience reading manga to properly give them ratings, but I think I'm learning. If I really loved them, and if the art stuck out to me, I think I'm learning. But these got a 4. And then 12 and 13, which I'll put up here, got a 4.5 because I loved them. 13 was really good too. And 13 was not a reread. That was it's a new one. Okay. Then I also read the prequel one, which is volume 0, which I will put up here. Gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was great. It was awesome. It was awesome. Then I also read the new one, which came out in February, number 14, which I also gave 5 out of 5 stars. It ripped my heart out, but in a great way. So there is the nerdy manga section. Let's move past it. Okay, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Next book I read in my African American literature class is All That She Carried. This is a non-fiction novel. I debated whether or not I should talk about it. I gave it a 3 out of 5, mainly because my professors put, we only talked about it for 2 class periods, so I had to read this 300-page book in like 3 days. And it was a little hard to get through. I bought the audiobook. Because it's nonfiction, it just, I just had a lot of issues with my class assigning it, not necessarily the book itself. I don't know if this is something you would want to just pick up and read. It's very historical. I do think she wrote it beautifully, like it's very well written. And I liked how she combined fictional narratives with nonfiction evidence. And I think it's valuable, but I didn't want to read it and it was hard to get through. So I gave it a 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, next book I read, I also left up at school. And that is Song of what? No, it's not the Song of Achilles. It's The Son of Neptune, which is the second book in Heroes of Olympus. Again, another reread. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. You're getting a sneak peek. And I know a lot of people have criticisms about Lost Hero and Son of Neptune. And people always say, you know, you guys love the Son of Neptune better because Percy's in it. And you know what? I'm not gonna disagree with you. I love Percy. Percy is my favorite character. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. And so yes, I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Partly because Percy was in it. And in The Lost Hero he wasn't. So anyway, I'll get into that in my video, but 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then the last book I have to talk about is another ebook. And that's Twisted Love. Again, seen it all over TikTok. You can really tell what's been influencing my reads recently, can't you? 4 out of 5. It gave me mafia romance vibes, but like not quite as misogynistic or toxic. There's a revenge plot that I felt got a little tedious. This was going to be a 4.5 out of 5 stars, but the revenge plot got really tedious and took up a lot of time towards the end, so I knocked it down a peg. I enjoyed the romance. I mean, I don't know how to describe it except revenge plot and mafia romance-esque, but without the mafia. So, yeah. And I liked that they were in the DC area because I really enjoyed going to DC back in the day. So, I liked that aspect. And that's it. Those are all of the many, many books I've read and or reread in the past month and a half. Thank you guys for bearing with me. I know these, what I've read recently videos are getting tedious, but there's no other way for me to break them up because I'm never filming like at the end of a month, so I don't feel like I could do TBRs or monthly wrap-ups, so I just have to do these, and so it just feels weird. But that's the life of a college student who is out of state. So, yeah, anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, maybe possibly. I'm going to try to be more active in the next 2 months, hopefully. Love you. Peace out. Goodbye. What's my outro? Goodbye. End the video.